you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha, everybody. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Financial Group. And it is time to stop doing what you hate. I'm excited to be bringing today's show to you. I'm actually recording the show from the car, something that I've never done before. So excited to be trying to do this for the first time. Hopefully the sound quality comes out okay. And but I want to talk a little bit about my mission. And I know the name of the show is Stop Doing What You Hate. And I realized that some people love what they do. But as I was talking to someone earlier, that there's no one who lives in a perfect world. So we all have things that we hate. We all have things that we don't like doing. We all have things that we don't want to continuously put up with. But for some reasons, we do. And so I know people hate bad financial planning and making bad financial decisions. And so my mission and my goal for the show is to help eradicate bad financial planning and bad financial decisions, one client at a time. So are you guys ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? All right, 1, 2, 3, let's get it. Let me backtrack real quick. I didn't tell you the name of today's show. The title of today's show is Ownership. Ownership, the key to success. And I read something the other day about Rihanna. You guys all know who Rihanna is. If you don't, you can look her up. They said she just became a billionaire or something like that or whatever because she took part in ownership. And that's one of the most interesting things when I was watching these different documentaries about like Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, all these rappers, like even some of the new guys coming out today, in order for them to really succeed and to get ahead of the game, they own stuff, right? Now you don't need Sony, you don't need like Viacom, you don't need, these record companies. You can go out there and you can start your own brand and become successful overnight with the internet and with YouTube and with TikTok and all the other things that people use, social media, just to blow up and just to do it big. So I want to talk to you guys about ownership. And one of the fastest ways to increase your wealth is by owning something. And I think the number one reason why people don't own things is because ownership is hard. Ownership requires a level of responsibility that most people aren't willing to accept. And I'll give you an example. I was talking with my daughter the other day, and she's 1 year out from graduation with her degree in architecture, and she wants to go to grad school. And we talked about that process. And I said, honey, hopefully the goal one day is for you to own something. And she said, Dad, I don't think I can ever own anything or be a business owner because, I want to have a family. I want to be able to I want a 9 to 5 and I want to be able to, go in and do my job and then come home. And I said, why would you think like that? What makes you think like that? She says, well, Dad, I've seen you work and I've seen how hard you have to work and all the time you put in and all the stress you face and all the struggle you have to go through. And I don't think it's all worth that. And I said, honey, my story hasn't been fully written yet. Okay, there is no the end right now. I said, we're probably in chapter 5 or 6. And I said, but look where I started and then look where I am right now. Yeah, I put a lot into it, but now you're reaping the rewards of all the hard work that I put into it, right? Being able to go to college and being able to do all these different things in life that you want to do just because I took ownership. And was it hard? I would say, hell yes, it was hard. Excuse my French, but man, it was hard. It was hard getting up, early in the morning and working 6 and 7 days a week. That's hard. But again, as I've heard it said, everything you ever wanted in life is on the other side of hard. Having a house is hard. And that's one of the best things you can do is own your own home. I don't care where it is. And as I was looking at this and studying this thing out and reading things, I want to talk a little bit about people of color because I am a person of color. And I know this is a money show, but I just want to give you guys a little bit of insight into my thought process and things that I hear and things that I see. I've heard this phrase, soft bigotry, by way of low expectations or whatever it might be. And there are so many successful African Americans in the United States today, so many. I feel like our voices aren't heard. And I feel like we're just kind of frowned upon because we don't fit the narrative of, say, someone of color who can't speak proper English, who can't read beyond a certain. I mean, I just hate the way we are being portrayed in today's society. No, I mean, we do speak proper English. Yes, we do have certain degrees. And yes, we are doctors. Yes, we are lawyers. But not everybody is willing to do what we necessarily did. And so I look back on this thing and I said, why not? And the number one reason is because of family. And number two is environment. A lot of us have become slaves to our environment, not necessarily slaves to a system per se, but slaves to our environment. So when I graduated high school, I decided that I didn't want to work in a chicken factory. I didn't want to work for the Department of the DOT, Department of Transportation. I didn't want to work in whatever factory was there. So I decided to join the military. And yes, I miss my family, right? But missing my family was no excuse for trying to get ahead in life. And so a lot of people will live in areas where they can't buy a house, right? Their jobs don't pay them enough, all because they want to be around family or they love their environment and they don't want to leave the environment. But you got to think about like the gold miners and the people that had the frontier spirit. So in order to get ahead somewhere, you're going to have to be a pioneer and you're going to have to figure out what is it that I can own, right? Now, if you're in a profession like, say, the medical profession or something like that, and say you're a doctor and you make great revenue and you make great income, that's fine and everything. But not a lot of people can do a 9-to-5 job where they make $100 to $200 to $300,000 a year. Not everybody can get those kinds of careers, right? Maybe some people aren't meant to be doctors. Maybe some people aren't meant to be, or they don't have the capacity or the gifting to do so. So let me take that back and say the gifting to do so, right? So ownership. How can you exercise your gift and own something pertaining to your gift? The Podcast Factory, JR, is the owner of that. And I reached out to JR a while back to help me get started with a podcast show. And the reason why is because I have a couple of different gifts, right? Number one, I love to run my mouth. I love to talk. I mean, I can talk all day until my throat hurts. Hopefully I'm saying things that make sense. But I knew from an early age when I was in third grade that I would have some kind of job talking, some kind of job where I would be talking to people and sharing things with people. And in class, when I was in third grade, my teacher was like, you want to be the teacher? Because you talk too much. Like, all you do is talk. Why don't you do your work? And so I got bad marks and for disciplinary when I was in third grade because I would talk too much. And I don't know. I used to try to impress people with this, what I knew and stuff like that. So, I used to get in trouble for that all the time. And my mom said, boy, when you came out, your mouth came out first, not your head, your mouth. You came out mouth first. And I was like, okay, that's a nice thing to say. But over the years, that became true. And I had to fine tune that gift. And so when I was in high school, I joined different clubs that required me to speak. I got voted in as the president of the Student Teacher Parent Association. So I had to go to meetings and I had to talk to parents. I had to talk to teachers. And so forget Toastmasters. I was doing this stuff in high school before there was probably even a Toastmasters. Learning how to talk, learning how to communicate. And then from there, I joined the military and I became an air traffic controller. And here I was having to talk to people who graduated Annapolis and they're pilots flying 30, 40, $50 million machines, if not more. And I had to learn how to properly communicate to them because if I did not, they would say repeat or say again or whatever, right? And then when I got out of the military, I got into this field that I'm in right now, which is basically financial planning and advising and insurance, and it required lots of communication. And so from there, I ended up starting my own financial planning firm, my own insurance practice. And again, the gift was communicating. And then I found out that I had a knack for numbers and then remembering patterns and certain things like that. And so that's when I became a fiduciary, that really began to blossom into what it is right now. So think about your gift. Think about what it is that you're really great at. Think about, how can I use my gift? How can I monetize my gift into some form of ownership? Where I told my daughter, I said, can you think of a day where you work an hour a day, or you work 3 hours a week, and then you got the other 37 or whatever hours to yourself, to your family? Can you think of a situation where you can reduce the amount of hours you work and maximize your revenue? Can you think of something like that, where you put yourself in position to be able to do something like that? And it only happens with ownership. You're not going to be able to get that by working for someone else. You have to own something. Think about it. What is it that I can own? So I wanted to rant and rave at you guys for a little bit. Ownership, the key to success, because what I want to do is help people eradicate bad financial planning, one client at a time. So if you're not working with anybody yet, give me a call, get on my schedule, click in the show notes. Let's sit down and talk. Let's see what it is that you own, how we can make what it is that you do more efficient, more effective on a day in and day out basis. If you want me to analyze your financial plan, that's $375 an hour. Be glad to do that. Package, fill it up, give you 2 hours for the price of one. And then we can go from there. All right. So we want to stop doing what we hate. We want to get you from where you are today to where you really want to be. And the key is ownership. So if I can look at your financial plan and figure out how to help you own something with the money that you have, that'll take you to a whole new level, man, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. So until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.